Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Markets, SOUQ Enlightenment.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800 2255 4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806 656 4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa (CDD).
A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Just Africa. We are reaching you live from our studios at SOUQ News TV. I am Oyin Krumale. Today we explore the intersection of business, economy, and governance and the people, highlighting how Africans are reshaping industries, policies, and communities through creativity and resilience. We turn our spotlight to the science of profitability, a subject that goes beyond marketing slogans and advertising creativity. In an era dominated by data analytics and digital platforms, the ability of a business to interpret numbers, measure impact, and predict consumer behavior has become the difference between growth and decline. Our focus today is business profitability, how statistics in marketing can spur growth. We'll explore how data-driven decisions making is transforming marketing strategies and fueling business growth and contributing to the broader economic development across the continent of Africa. Welcome once again to the program. I am Oyin Krumale. Hello, Mivi.
Yeah, hello, Priye.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, Lagos. Good afternoon, Nigeria. And to the whole of Africa. And to you, wherever you're watching from across the globe, welcome to Just Africa. I'm Mivi Itolo. Yes, you were talking about...
profitability. using the instrument of numbers, statistics, data, and for quite a while now, when we talk about development, we talk about economic performance, when we talk about creativity at work, it goes beyond, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, somebody very, very prominent said, if you give analysis without numbers, you might just become just another analyst. But when it is, numbers driven, then we could have some sort of a direction to what exactly we will be talking about, or whatever it is that we're being analyzed. But today it's on business. And I've asked myself times with that number, though we've spoken to a couple of business experts and those who are running the show in the SMEs, and they've been telling us, okay, according to the numbers this, according to the numbers that. And I know we'll be having a guest and we'll be talking about the numbers. First of all, I want to know what exactly it means. Secondly, I want to know how those numbers are obtained and why are they so fixated, as if without numbers, the business cannot move forward.
Yes, most times when people think of or hear the word statistics, just as you said, people just think it's all about numbers. But studies have shown that it goes far beyond numbers. The data, the information, statistics generally helps us regarding marketing right now, because we're bringing it driving into business. It helps the business. In fact, statistics is the voice for businesses in the market. It helps them in decision making. It helps them make smarter decisions.
Okay.
There is no way you want to run a business and you do not know what your consumers want. You do not know a particular age group or a particular kind of people, the demography of the people, the kind of people that buy a particular product from you.
Why they do that.
And why they do that. Studies have shown that companies or businesses that uses or that make use of statistics or data, as the case may be, have the advantage of over 23% advantage of succeeding and making more profit than a business or companies who don't use data at all, who just feel, okay, let's do some guesswork, let's do what, okay, well, let's do what Nigerians will call to boo. Let's do this, that, let's just do trial by error. And in business, you want to make profit, you still want to rely on guesswork. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Okay.
You have to understand the business. You have to understand the statistics. You have to understand the number, the data. With that, of course, you can start having a profitable business.
Okay. Before we bring this job to the table of our expert today, let's intimate you a little bit further of what we'll be talking about. Business profitability, how statistics in marketing can spur growth, examines how businesses use data and statistical analysis to make informed marketing decisions that increase revenue, reduce costs, and sustain growth. It means that marketing is no longer based purely on creativity or intuition. It now depends on measurable insights from customer data, sales, trade, and behavioral analytics. By interpreting this data correctly, businesses can then target the right audience, allocate resources efficiently, and predict what consumers want next. In essence, statistics in marketing transforms information into strategic intelligence, the key to business profitability and long-term growth. That's how far I can say. And when the guests, when the expert, when we introduce the expert, we'll have more of that. And trust me, I have lots of questions, not just me alone, or maybe you also have lots of questions, inquisitive. We are very, very curious in that. We're going to break. When we return, the show continues to stay with us. Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Today we have Ayodele Adio joining us on the program. He is a marketing strategist and business growth expert with over a decade of experience helping brands and entrepreneurs harness the power of data and analytics for strategic growth. He has worked with leading companies across technology, banking, FMCG, and retail sectors developing data-driven marketing frameworks that enhance profitability and market competitiveness. Ayodele is known for his dynamic approach to integrating creativity with analytics, showing that business growth is not just about storytelling, it's about measurable impact. He's also a mentor, a speaker, and advocate for digital literacy and marketing innovation across the continent of Africa and emerging markets. Ayodele Adio, welcome to Just Africa.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, great. You're very much welcome. Now, in business, what exactly, in practical terms, what exactly is the meaning of data and statistics?
Well, I mean, data and statistic basically is the information you collect about either your consumer or your market to make informed business decision. This could be predictive decisions. This could be internal decisions that you want to use to perhaps cut costs. It could also be decisions that you want to use to develop new products, new offerings, or to penetrate new markets, or perhaps, to outmaneuver a competition. But essentially, what it is the ability to collect or gather, reliable information that you can convert to intelligence, that you can help make excellent business decisions.
Great. I see why when I was reading your profile, it was stated that you're a speaker. Good. Now, this data, how are they sourced? How reliable are they?
Well, you can source data from several means. It depends on what kind of business or what kind of organization that you're running, right? So, for instance, if you're running a news organization like yours, what would be your funnel essentially is, when you go to the website, there is a pop-up that says, input your email before you can read, or input your email before you can watch whatever content that we've uploaded offline. So that is your own funnel of collecting, for instance, emails of people who you find or who find your content interesting. For other kinds of businesses, there are different ways that you can collect data. Thankfully now, technology has evolved so much that you now have AI models and tools that collect information that track our patterns online. So the things that we buy, the content that we spend time looking at online, it's collecting and sieving all of this information such that it then suggests to you what would interest you in the future. I'm sure you've played around your mobile phone sometimes and you're shocked at the fact that 10 minutes later there are pop-ups and ads, showing you exactly what you would like to buy, perhaps a tie, perhaps a suit, perhaps a shoe that you've been thinking about. It's because that model has been able to track the things that interest you across digital platforms, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It can see that you're liking a particular content. It can see that you visited 3-4 shops where they sell bags, for instance, and it can tell that you're interested in green or purple bags, and will consistently suggest to you those green and purple bags over the next few weeks until you make a buying decision. So whether it's the traditional model of collecting information when people walk in your front office and they put their names, their phone numbers, and email addresses, or it's the more technologically savvy way of tracking your behavior on digital platforms. I think businesses have found very interesting way of collecting information from us to be able to predict our buying behavior patterns and preferences.
And it's quite the level of reliability.
Absolutely.
Very, very
the data, obviously, McKinsey, I was reading a report that showed that organizations that use such algorithms and predictive models outperform their competition by 30 to 40%. Right? So it definitely shows you that using data and intelligence, you might want to qualify it as the right data and intelligence, will obviously help you outperform your competition by 30 to 40%.
All right. Thank you very much, Ayodele. So this year, today is, we're marking the world's Statistics Day, So it's a beautiful thing that we have you here to kind of join the rest of the world in celebration. Now, so the thing for this year is high quality statistics and data for the benefit of all. Now, most times when we talk about statistics, when we talk about data, most people just think about they are only important to bigger companies, very large companies and the likes. Now, for a medium and small scale business enterprise, what does high quality statistics mean to them?
Well, I mean, statistics is everything. But again, I'm careful to use the word because statistics sometimes just shows you numbers, it qualifies those numbers.
Exactly.
And it's what you do with those statistics that makes the difference and makes you an outlier, right? So statistics is a bit like electricity. It's just there. Now, it's whether you're going to connect that electricity to power your air conditioner at home or to power your television is what is going to make the difference. So what you do with those statistics is what makes the difference at the end of the day. So while statistics is important, how do you interpret this statistic? How was those numbers, how were they gathered? How were they put together? These are the more important things for marketers because if you're not careful, you may use statistics like, a drunk man uses a pole, which is just to support himself and not really for illumination, right? And what marketers want is illumination, is insight, and not just something that supports you while you're staggering, which will feed into your buyers naturally. So while it's important, statistics, we must be careful enough not to just throw it down people that say, okay, statistics is everything. The marketer doesn't rely on just statistics.
Yes.
He has to rely on patterns, on trends, on behaviors. And all of these come together to form the intelligence upon which the decisions are going to be made in the boardroom. And I think it was important to make that, very important qualification.
Okay, so some entrepreneurs feel that I know my customers, I know my people, I know the people who patronize me.
Yes.
So these data don't really count. What do you have to say to such entrepreneurs?
Well, that's a bit of, if you're running a small shop and you attend to perhaps, 20, 30 people a day, then you can make that argument that you know your customers. But again, intuition, is a bit limited.
Yes.
Bigger businesses follow the evidence and not necessarily intuition, right? And I think the argument we're making today is for us to move beyond relying on our intuition to making evidence-based decisions, which is the data that you have been talking about. There's an interesting business called Goya oil. I'm sure you know that.
Yes.
I'm sure that when it was imported to Nigeria, it was brought in for cooking, to be used in the kitchen. And I'm sure the importer had been successful in importing drinks like Baron de Val and things like that into the country. And so he imported this new product, for kitchen, basically across the country. But what do we use Goya oil for in Nigeria? We use it as anointing oil, isn't it? Right? It's now being used in churches and not in kitchen, right? So you can beat your chest so well that you know your customer, but you're blindsided that the products that you thought was going to be used in kitchens are now being used in churches, right? So you can't necessarily say that you know your customer so well without tracking consistently his preferences, his behavior, his evolving patterns, his growth, his changing environment, and things like that. All of those things, the more you track those changes, the more you track those trends, you get new insights and new behavior to help you make decisions. You didn't like the things you used to like 5 years ago. So the man beating his chest, saying to you that you like purple bags will perhaps have been left behind 5 years ago if he doesn't track your new preferences today. So in a nutshell, you can't continue to rely on intuition. You need evidence-based decision-making systems, and that's why you need data and a lot of statistics.
Great. So most of the people that we come across when it has to do with marketing and sales, let's assume I'm going to Balogun market, and most of the time you tell these people, like the small SMEs and Emeka who stays in front of his shop and he has lots of shoes, and you begin to wonder, and you're trying to convince him, maybe you are as an organization that sells data or that can give advice, and he's telling you he doesn't need it. How can you make him change his mind to rely on that? Because we begin to see this as an instrument to bring it inclusivity to using data-driven decisions for business purposes, irrespective of the strata that business belong to?
I think Emeka is collecting data, but he's collecting data differently from how bigger organizations
Does
are
he know
collecting
that that's
data.
what he's doing?
Of course, he knows that he's collecting data. Because, you see, when he closes from his market at 5 p.m., and I'm talking about the successful Emekas in
Yes,
Balogun market,
yes.
when he closes from his shop at 5 p.m. and he goes into a bus, or he's waiting at a bus stop where there are tons of people waiting for buses, he's looking at their feet. He's seeing that people who come to shop at the market are having a preference for wearing a kind of, whether you call it Crocs or something,
Crocs, yes.
or they are wearing something comfortable. He's collecting data. So he notices that trends and that pattern that, people who come to the market don't wear shoes. They don't wear slippers. They want to wear something comfortable, but something brisk that make them walk smartly and stuff. And then he invests in importing products like that to sell to meet that demand. So he's collected data by observing what people are doing and the habits of people who come to the market every day, right? So what you can help small businesses see is to open their minds to collect information in a way that is cost effective and meets the reality of where they are as a business. Because if you ask a small business owner to pay a data mining company to be able to collect data and information, he simply can't afford it, right? So you need to be able to collect information at the stage that you are to make decisions for your business. And so for people like Emeka or Kayode or Usman, who's running a small business, they have to open their eyes and open their ears. They have to listen attentively to what people are saying. And they also have to watch what people are doing. They have to see where people are eating. They have to notice what people are buying when they're in church. While people are praying and singing and dancing, they have to be paying attention to what people are doing. And that's how you collect information that you can use to make informed business decisions.
Great. Now, the one thing I'm more curious about, I think I asked it indirectly, but I just needed to dwell on it for a moment. Is it possible to be collecting data and not know that that is what you're doing? One. Two, why is data so expensive?
Well, I think data is expensive, and I'll start with the second question. Data is expensive because of how data is collected, right? So imagine the data that is used to give CPI information, which is inflation information and all of that. Look at the amount of manpower you need to go around the country, to markets, to businesses, to collect information, to put that data together. So it's expensive to collect data. It's even more expensive to collect meaningful data, right? Again, it's even more expensive to collect the kind of data that these huge tech companies have, because they run some sort of monopoly or oligopoly, if you'd like. The Facebooks, the Twitters, and if you're going to sit over a table with their business development manager to collect data from Twitter, I mean, of course, you can't be speaking in peanuts. It's going to cost you a huge amount of money, because they know that what it would require you to collect that information might take you years, huge amount of resources. You have to train and retrain the people who are collecting this information, but they have developed unbelievably brilliant algorithms that can collect this thing at milliseconds. And so that's why they are charging premiums for it. So in a nutshell, the reason why that data is very expensive is largely because of the collecting process and the technology and the algorithm required to collect all of this information. And that makes it very pricey. But to your earlier question about whether people know they are collecting data or not, it's in two ways. Sometimes people stumble on it. They don't realize that they have been collecting information, and until that moment of illumination comes and they realize, okay, so 1 + 1 can actually become 2, and they stumble into it. But there are actually people who pay attention to collect certain information to make their businesses better. And the truth is, you can always see the difference in the outcome of those businesses. It doesn't matter how small those businesses, are, but when you pay attention to collecting the kind of information that is required to improve outcomes, you will see that they will do a lot better. I give you an example. When I was in business school, the Barrow Business School in Kano, there was a kiosk where they sold soft drinks and pastries, basically. But it was closer to where the classrooms were. So, I mean, over the top of your head, if you closed or you had a break in class, it was as easy as ABC, just walk down to your classroom and have refreshments right there. But there was another one who was about 500 meters away. And, Kano can be hot sometimes in hot season. But it was like 500 meters away. It would take you a bit of walk to get to where he was. And they were selling exactly the same thing. In fact, the supplier who brings the meat pies and the egg rolls are the same exact suppliers. And of course, the people who bring the soft drinks are the same distributors, right? So you're not buying, there's no difference in quality of products. But guess what? The guy who was right next to the classroom was usually empty. But the guy who was 500 meters away was always packed. And it was an irony, because how can you explain the fact that the same products and 500 meters away, and one was
to your market.
The difference was, Alhaji Ibrahim, and I always remember him and I don't forget him, had collected so much information that he could use to engage every student with. He knew all of our lecturers. He didn't just know all of our lecturers. He knew their behavior. He would tell you, for instance, in fact, he even had the timetable in his shop. So he would tell you the next class that you were going to be going late for. And he will warn you, this class that you have, Ali Garba's class, the man is wicked, eat quickly and go. So the basic information that he's been able to collect and to create an experience that was a lot better for students who came there to eat, inadvertently gravitated more students to come to his place to eat, even though he was 500 meters away. So you will see that people who are thoughtful and intentional about collecting information, however little, however minuscule, however seemingly irrelevant, will always, 9 out of 10 times, outperform people in the same league of businesses with them. And so it's important that however inconvenient it might be, or however little that information you're collecting is, you have to pay attention to data and information, because that's the only way you're going to be able to improve your business.
Thank you very much, Ayodele. I love that instance, because I was actually going to ask you if you have any example or any story of how data has transformed business performance that you have done already. Now, I want to ask, access to data is very, very not easy because of securities and the safety of people. So government and data agencies, they tend to hoard some of this information, which is okay for safety purposes. Now, my question is, how can people have easy access? I'm talking about professional bodies now, businesses that really need people's information, people's data. How can they have access? How can the government and national agencies make it easier for people to have access to data?
I'm not sure that it's the government's business to make private organizations have easier access to information of the public. I don't think that it's government business to do, because sometimes you're not trusting of what a private actor is going to do with information of people of the public, right? What the government has also done is to be able to provide the private sector with the kind of macroeconomic data that is required to make informed business decisions. That's why you have the NBS that is providing a quarterly report on consumer price index, providing household surveys and things like that. So these are, general data that, sort of gives a bit of direction to most businesses. Now, if you want to collect other kinds of data, remember we have data privacy laws that you really cannot breach and things like that. And that's largely to protect you and I, as consumers and as citizens. Organizations would have to do the hard work of building their own funnel to collect the kind of data that they want, or must be willing to pay premium to these big global technological companies who can provide insights for you, especially if you're going to be running campaigns on many digital media platforms. So I just don't think that government is supposed to make it easier. I think that what we can argue for is that government should invest more in research and development and make those research public. That would help a lot of businesses leapfrog some of the, challenges that they are currently ongoing now, because some of them, especially medium and small businesses, do not have that kind of resources to invest in research. Yeah. But when government does this at scale, it sort of helps businesses leapfrog. Like, many don't know that the internet and many of the global infrastructure upon which many digital businesses have been built today were funded by the US government or were funded by European governments. So those are the kinds of projects, research, that should be backed by government and make those data available for the public. But when you talk about, data of, you impute something in a bank, for instance, and you want Coyote to be able to access what you have put in the bank, I don't think that the government should make it easy.
Okay, thank you very much. So most times when we talk about high quality statistics, for businesses, we look at the profit side of it, how businesses can make decisions that will turn out to be profitable to the business organization. Now, beyond profit right now, what do you think that businesses can use statistics to do to contribute to the development of a community?
Well, beyond profit, now you're talking about corporate social responsibility here. I mean, data can easily show you, for instance, the amount of harm your business is doing to an environment. Okay. I mean, for instance, data can show you how much emissions, if you're into manufacturing, how much emissions is happening in your immediate environment, and perhaps can also show you if there's a correlation between the emissions coming out of your organization to the health impact it's having on your immediate community, right? And that correlation can help you make decisions as a business to either find a way to reduce those emissions, to also invest in certain healthcare facility in that community to mitigate the impact of those emissions on the people there. So talking about public good, I think that's the way that data can help businesses make decisions that improve our collective well-being as a society. They look at it, for instance, and say that we're not producing enough engineers that can work in factories in Nigeria. The data outrightly shows that. So what do businesses do? They can then invest in more engineering schools. They can provide grants to many universities to be able to recruit more engineering professors, to also provide or award scholarships to more indigenous children who want to study engineering. And that way they build a pipeline of talent in the engineering field that will come out and provide value in the business sector years after. So these are the ways over the top of my head that I can see that data can be impactful to the larger community and not necessarily tied to the profit of the organization making that decision.
Yes, so before Barry takes you, I love the fact that you talked about use the instance of industries in a community and the amount of carbon dioxide that is being released every now and then due to production. But we have also seen the Ogoni story, for instance, how our rivers, due to the crude, how they've killed our fishes, how they've caused so many harm, when especially water, no more drinking water in that community and other environments like that. Yes, I believe that these companies, with what NBS is pushing out every day, with the kind amount of information that is coming out every day, we expected that the companies involved should have done something regarding to that. So what is holding such companies behind? What's stopping them from, saying, this is what is going on. The natural resources, the fishes, the water in this community has been contaminated. Yeah. And yet nothing is being done about it.
Well, to be honest with you, that's a political decision, right? Okay. That will be handled at the political level where there's pressure, taxation or whatever to compel these organizations to do what is needful in those communities. But what I can say is that those decisions, even from the government, to compel these companies to invest back in these communities, will have to make those decisions based on data to be able to show that your emissions or whatever you're pumping out of that is destroying livelihood and the habitat in this environment. So you're making an evidence-based case to say that if you're making trillions in profit and these communities are left behind based on the impact of your emissions, we're going to tax you XYZ percentage, which will go back into these indigenous communities where you're extracting this wealth. So while it's a political decision, that decision also has to be driven by evidence and data, and that way you can make a lot more progress. Now, whether or not, or why that has not happened over time is a question you have to take up with those in government. But the reality is, those decisions
So we are due for a break, but before we go, there's something critical I needed you to speak on, and that has to do with the data, the epoch or the era of data and its usefulness in business enterprise was, driven when telecommunication and internet became a necessity in Nigeria. Could you give an estimate of the number of jobs, or maybe not, I'm not expecting you to have a complete estimate, but maybe the number of jobs, the number of economic benefits, and the ripple effect in the positive direction that we have experienced not only as a nation but as a continent as a result of this advent of technology?
I mean, the benefits have been humongous. Today, I can categorically say to you that the biggest driver of our economy is telecommunications. They're the biggest driver of the country's GDP. And that tells you all the story that you want to know and the impact that they've had on our economy. They're employing hundreds of thousands of people directly. A lot of businesses are powered by the infrastructure that they provide. People are setting up businesses in their homes, leveraging on e-services or e-platforms, to be able to deliver goods and services to consumers that are miles away from them, and is able to extract payments from people that are miles away from them. So, I mean, the technological revolution has been unbelievably transformational for the common man who just sits in his house, doesn't need capital to rent a shop on Broad Street, doesn't need an investment banker to look at whether or not he's qualified for a loan. But if he's talented and has a mobile phone and can connect to the internet, he can start something brilliant. And before you know, the entire world is watching him and he's buying a flat in Lekki like you see every day on social media. So, I mean, it's been unbelievably transformational, and I think it's the best thing that's happened to mankind since electricity.
Great. Best thing that has happened to mankind, maybe in this part of the globe, since electricity. But it looks like we do not have the infrastructure, or we've not had the kind of infrastructure that should take us to the El Dorado that we're all looking for to attain. Yeah. What do you think is holding us back as a continent?
But we need to do investment, right? We need to create the enabling environment that allows private capital to come into the continent. At the moment, the continent is hostile to private capital. So many decisions made by various governments makes it very difficult, especially our judicial systems across the continent do not give confidence for people to bring in their monies.
And many are quite, sorry to interrupt you, many are quite open. In fact, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa are seen to be some of the countries that are running a data-driven economy.
You're right about South Africa, and that's why you see the level of investments pouring into South Africa.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
The same cannot be said so much so about Nigeria at the moment, because in the last 10 years, there have been issues of insecurity that sort of scare away investors. There's been the volatility in terms of policy making and lack of consistency.
Okay.
There are also worries and concerns about the legal environment, which is the judiciary in Nigeria. And so these concerns have sort of shrunk, foreign direct investments coming into the country. Yeah. So the more open and transparent many African countries become, the more we strengthen these institutions that give confidence to private capital, to come into the continent, the easier it is for us to, attract these investments. and you're likely going to see a lot more investments, in many of our major cities across the continent. At the moment, we can just be hopeful, and pray that you elect people who make the right decisions that attract this capital.
Okay. All right. So in that case, we are going to go on a break now because I had a follow-up question to that, but we are due for a break. You're still watching Just Africa. We've been having a conversation with Ayodele Adio. He's a data expert, and we've been looking at how economies can drive, data can be a platform through which those economies can fly, grow wings. We're going to break. When we return, we'll go into a different aspect of this conversation, and this time it might involve government policies and telecommunication companies, including the banks, because these are platforms through which data is received as a result of their daily dealings with the public. But they've become data selling institutions as well. We'll ask our guests why and if they are really being tasked by the government for that purpose. We'll go on a break. We'll be back in a moment. Do stay with us.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255-4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806-656-4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa, CDD.
Welcome to Cashcraft, the show that turns your skills and ideas into serious income. Whether you're just getting started or you're already in the business, we'll bring you practical tips, fresh opportunities, and real stories to help you grow, literally and financially. I am Grace Komalafe, and today we are digging into horticulture, a vibrant green world where beauty.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us today on Just Africa. We are still having a conversation with Ayodele Adio. He is a marketing strategist and business growth expert with over a decade of experience helping brands and entrepreneurs harness the power of data and analytics for strategic growth. Welcome once again to the program.
Thank you.
Yes. I know we have laws, the Nigerian Data Protection Act, the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. But initially, when the telecom giants were coming to the continent of Africa, and specifically to Nigeria between 1999 and 2003, we didn't know what we were opening up our economies to. And would we say that with the scope of things that we expected them to do, or at that specific point in time, and what they have actually translated to, do you think we have been shortchanged as a nation, as an economy, or we had no idea where this was leading? Because they seem to be this organization that possess data, and they sell data to businesses that wants to grow using that as a business.
I mean, it's interesting that you brought this up. So I think that they have been a net positive to the Nigerian economy. They have they've created jobs. They've paid hundreds of billions in taxes to the federal government. They've invested hundreds of billions in CSR to help many communities across the entire country, so they're being a net positive. But specifically to the issue of data, in fact, there's currently a lending bill that is being debated. In fact, it's being passed, it's become an act, it's become law, which was sponsored by the FCCPC. And what that law argues for is for big companies like the MTNs of this world, big telcos, to be able to share data, especially their lending data, with the credit card corporations of Nigeria, so that governments can make better informed decisions about either the financial habits of Nigerians and can make better decisions about cash transfer programs and things like that. In fact, it also even helps to rate or give credit scores to a lot of people who normally should have been rated but are not, because they are not borrowing traditionally from banks. And I'm talking of people who borrow credit, for instance. So if you borrow 2,000 naira credits and you pay regularly, you borrow 5,000, you pay on time. You borrow 10,000, you pay. That's data that sort of is predictive of your cash flow or income status that can help government make certain kinds of decisions. But you can't make that decision because government doesn't have that data. Credit corporations can't make that decisions because they don't have that data. And so the law essentially is arguing that big telcos should be able to share that information with this credit organization so that there's some sort of integration. People can provide credit products for people in the low income status who naturally do not transact with traditional banks. And I think that that's an important piece of legislation that could unlock opportunities for the common man and that could give them a lot of leeway because they borrow at unbelievably high interest rates. I mean, it's ridiculous if you think about it, that the affluent is borrowing at 3 times the interest rate, cheaper, 3 times cheaper the interest rate than the poor man is. So we have essentially and perpetually sentenced the poor and low-income people to a cycle of debt because they are borrowing at over 60 to 70% interest rates. And while those with a lot of capital are borrowing at less than 30 or 20% interest rates. So with that data and with that information, banking institutions can make better informed decisions to create products that can be more targeted and suited to people in that income class. And so, to your point, I would argue that while they are they've been a net positive to the Nigerian economy, I think in terms of data sharing, this will open up radically new opportunities for people in the low income strata in Nigeria. And I hope that these telco companies will do the right thing to follow the law. And perhaps that could lead to products and offerings that could unlock opportunities for the common man.
Okay, let me bring you to the public space. Nigeria, the last time we did a census, was it in 2016 or in 2006? I'm trying to get my figures correctly. That was when we committed the last census. And most other developed nations, that is an exercise for them to reevaluate and reassess and review their economy on where to channel and drive development into, whether they should give priority to education, healthcare, and all of that. We've not done our census for quite a while. Most of the data or the numbers that we're bandying around currently, either as a government or as government institution, do you think there's a problem wrong with those figures?
Yeah, you have a data problem. You don't collect information.
What's that disadvantage of that?
You don't. The disadvantage is that you suffer in policy making, because you're not making evidence-based policy. You're not allocating resources intelligently. You're misallocating resources. To put it in layman terms, you're wasting resources, right? Because you don't have data, and so you're sort of playing Russian roulette with the Nigerian people. You throw this, it will stick, it will catch, it won't catch, throw it here. You just aren't making enough informed decision. And it's a disaster if you asked me. And so governments have to prioritize data collection. They have to prioritize investments in research and development, because that's the only way we can make progress as a society. Because like you rightfully said, From the last time we conducted our census, we've ballooned in population. People have moved in different parts of the country. So how are you making the decisions you've been making for close to 2 decades, right? And mind you, even the data that was collected at the time was hugely contested because many claims setting were inflated and things like that. So what was the integrity of that data that was collected? So it's not even bad enough that the integrity of the data that government collects is questioned. It's even worse now because you don't even have poor data to deal with. You have no data whatsoever in the last perhaps 20 years. So I think it's a worrying situation. Again, it's a political situation. Okay. And you know how politics gets muddled up in Nigeria. So it's a shame that things have to be caught up in that way. But I would argue that maybe perhaps local governments should lead and start to collect data of people in their local governments and cascade that upwards. And states also begin to invest in data collection, in census, in counting. I know people would argue again, census is in the exclusive list of the federal government.
What is the local government and state government?
I really wanted to ask you who we should hold responsible for this lack of data. I know we're running out of time.
Yes.
Yes, I really wanted to ask that question, but maybe because of time, I should just go and ask another question. That's data for... What would you recommend for businesses who really want to start running a data-driven marketing? What tools?
Artificial intelligence have made life a lot easier today, really and truly. You can get every single thing you want using artificial intelligence. And there are a lot of predictive modeling tools that are available at reasonably priced rates in the markets that many businesses can plug into. But remember also that we're talking about market intelligence tools. And so this is limited to tools that you're using to run ads on social media that helps you make your ads a lot more effective, that helps you increase your level of sales by 40 to 50%, that helps you increase your ability to target the right audience better, to use, and I perhaps close with the example of Netflix, which you typically watch. If you notice, you'll see that Netflix has perhaps 7, 8, 9 flyers for one movie. So it shows you a particular flyer today with the lead actor as a man. Perhaps 2 weeks later, it shows you a different flyer. What it's doing is testing to see the one that catches your attention more. And they don't use the same flyers for countries across the world. They are showing different people different flyers to see the click rates. And the one that people are drawn to the most is now what becomes the lead image that they use in promoting that particular film. So that's exactly intelligence used to be able to market their films a lot more. And those are the kinds of tools that are available to businesses across.
All right, so we have to go.
We have to let him go.
Yes, let you go because of time. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. We've been speaking with Ayodele Adio. He is a marketing strategist and business growth expert with over a decade of experience helping brands and entrepreneurs harness the power of data and analytics for strategic growth. He has worked with leading companies across technology, banking, FMCG, and retail sectors, developing data-driven marketing frameworks that enhance profitability and market competitiveness. Thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You're very much welcome. We'll go on a break. We will be back in a moment. Do stay with us.
Augmented reality, AR, is a technology that merges computer-generated images with the user's real-world view, creating a composite experience. This interactive experience integrates various sensory modalities, such as things you can see, hear, and even feel, making the experience interactive and immersive. In recent years, the emergence of this transformative technology has seamlessly integrated digital and physical realms. This groundbreaking innovation relies on specialized hardware like smartphones and smart glasses equipped with cameras and sensors, AR software, and Apple's AR kits and Google's AR Core. Then creates immersive experiences by overlaying virtual content onto the user's real-world environment. AR software such as Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core then creates immersive experiences by overlaying virtual content onto the user's real-world environment. AR's applications span diverse industries from gaming to education, healthcare, retail, and manufacturing. In education, AR enhances learning through interactive and dynamic experiences, while in healthcare, it aids surgical planning and medical training. Retail experiences are transformed as AR enables customers to virtually try on products and visualize furniture in their homes. Despite its potential, AR faces challenges such as technical advancements and user privacy concerns. Overcoming these hurdles will unlock even more seamless and immersive AR experiences, making it an integral part of our daily lives. As technology progresses, the horizon for AR broadens, promising a future where our interactions with the world are richer and more interconnected. Augmented reality is not just a trend, it's a revolution shaping the way we live, learn, and work. Goma Fortune, SOUQ News.
Human ingenuity has birthed remarkable innovations, none more so than the rise of intelligent machines. Computers, once more calculators, have evolved into sophisticated systems capable of mimicking human thought processes. Powered by an artificial intelligence, AI, these systems are learning, problem solving, and making decisions that were once exclusive domain of humans. From accelerating scientific discovery to tackling climate change, AI's potential is vast, but perhaps its most profound impact lies in healthcare. Artificial intelligence, AI, it's no longer a futuristic concept. It's here with the potential to revolutionize patient care, diagnosis, and treatment. AI is emerging as a powerful tool in the hands of medical professionals. From detecting diseases early to optimizing treatment plans, AI is demonstrating remarkable capabilities. It can analyze vast amounts of medical data to identify patterns and predict outcomes, aiding in more accurate diagnosis. Also, AI-powered robots are assisting in surgeries, improving precision, and reducing recovery times. However, despite its promises, challenges persist. Concerns about data privacy, ethical implications, and the need for robust regulatory frameworks are hindering widespread AI adoption. To fully unlock AI's potential in healthcare, collaborative efforts are essential. Healthcare providers, researchers, policymakers, and technology companies must work together to develop and implement AI solutions responsibly. By addressing ethical concerns, investing in AI research, and creating supportive regulatory environments, we can accelerate the integration of AI into healthcare and improve patient outcomes. Joy Chuma, SOUQ News.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255 4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806 656 4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa, CDD.
Welcome back to Just Africa. Many thanks for joining us on the program. We had a conversation with Ayodele Adio, who is a data expert and business marketing strategist using data to solve all problems and make profits. And myself and Omivi Dolo, we've had quite a conversation with him, a robust conversation, I must say. And we looked at it from the private business enterprises. We also looked at it within the lens of the government. And maybe we also made references to Emeka who owned a shop somewhere in Balogun. And maybe you've been collecting data, you sell shoes, but you do not know that you collect data. So when we start talking about data, you think, oh, it's the banks that require that. It is the telecommunication organizations that require that. It is the business,
big companies.
the big tech startups that require that. No, you actually collect data, but you don't know you collect data. Now, companies that are into transportation business in Lagos, do they collect data? Because I am tempted to refer to the bus rapid transit system, the BRT. Of course, obviously they collect data, and I think they have a huge chunk of data when we start talking about transportation, the mobility of people. If the Lagos state government is going to start asking questions, how many people live in Ikorodu and transport themselves to work on a daily basis? In fact, in every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the number of people, the volume of people that moved from the island to the mainland or from the mainland, and what section, what part of the mainland to the island, who worked there. Because they know the kind of data they have on Fridays. They know the kind of data they have on Saturdays, on Mondays, on Wednesdays. Equally, the Lagos state government, I don't think they will have much problem in collecting such data. But we know that the normal yellow and black, the yellow and black buses may not have that data to give. But they can use that as a benchmark, use the small BRT vehicles as a benchmark, and equally the larger BRT vehicles as a benchmark to know how people move around Lagos. There's also a train, train line, the blue line, and the red line that is being used. So the government should know, or should
For me, I feel the Lagos state government already knows the movement. So there is always this expansion. There's always this room for growth, especially in transportation in Lagos State. You know, when the BRT came earlier, maybe was it towards the end of
I think it came
Governor Fashola's towards the end of his administration, you know, they weren't as much as they are now. That tells you.
You mean the level of
buses, that were
the number of vehicles,
that were available then. You can't compare to what we have now. That's because they've opened the door for more franchise. Okay, if the government alone cannot run it, of course, I wasn't using BRT then. The reason was because you get to the bus station and for over an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours, you are waiting for a bus. So I would ask myself, why should I just stay back and wait? So I believe that, yes, they gathered this information, they looked at the statistics, and they said, okay, now we may not be able to run this alone. Let's bring in private franchise. And now you agree with me that it is much more easier compared to what it was back then. Now, going to Ikorodu and coming down to the island is really not a hassle as it stands now, because the lane was well planned, everything went well. Now, they didn't just say, okay, since the buses are available, now let's just relax. No, they went further to bring in the train. the blue line. And of course, the people using that route understand how easier for them to move right now. These are statistics in place.
Okay. No, okay. Sorry.
I wanted to say something.
Yes, statistics in place, but you know, there is so much more to be done that I cannot say the Lagos State government is there yet. I can't even give them 50%. I can't even give them 50%. And the reason why I'm saying that is very, very clear. Because there are some areas, because we're looking at data, while the BRT can provide some level of data for the Lagos State government, the Lagos State government, if it wants to have a data statistics that nears 80% or that have the credibility of 85%, we also need to consult Uber. We also need to consult the Bolt and the private riding agencies. In fact, other yellow and black, white and blue buses that runs different routes, they need to consult them. Yeah. Because if you look at the BRT vehicles, they covered from mile 2 to Badagry? Have they covered those axes? We can't really say they have. So if they bring out data, it's going to really fall short. Some people might not make very, very great decision using that because the BRT, the way of transportation has not really covered Lagos as a whole.
Yes, for me, just as our guest said, we can't do everything at the same time. It's one step at a time. They started with the BRT from Ikorodu to the island. Now we have the blue line running from mile 2 to Marina?
From Marina to Festac.
To Festac right now. So I believe that there are other plans on the way. They're still thinking about the 4th mainland bridge. So I understand that, yes, it's going to take time. It's a process. It's one thing at a time. So if for now, for instance, the Lagos State has not covered the whole of Lagos, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a period of time. Maybe before you know it, you sleep and wake up one day and you say, okay, there is this plan for island to Aja and all that. So I believe that it will take a whole lot of time, but it is something that they can actually do. But becoming a data-driven state, I would say yes, they're actually trying. Yeah. Yes, they are trying. True. And I know that there are other states that are also trying to copy what Lagos State is doing. So it takes a whole lot. Like you rightly asked our guest, when was the last census done? Now, what information, what data are they running with right now? So I still feel that right now we are still running with the guesswork, estimated. Okay, let's just assume. But no, we have actually grown more than that. I think it is high time the government go back and say, okay, let's have another census. Let's actually know. Most times when you hear people talk, they will tell you we have over 20 million Nigerians.
To over 200
over 200 million Nigerians, I mean to say. So now, how did you arrive at 200 million Nigerians? So you see, the plan actually, you must have a concrete, that is why we are talking about high quality data.
Okay.
Not just data right now, high quality.
Since you've brought in the issue of census before we sign out on our broadcast now, if we were to talk about census and for each state in the Federal Republic of Nigeria to be able to, if we ask them now, within a month, to present a figure that can give us an estimate or an idea.
Within a month?
Yes, of course, within a month, to give us the number of people that live in their state. I'm telling you, Lagos will be able to come up with a data, with a number that will almost capture what we have on ground. Why am I saying that? Because they have LASRA. Is it the Lagos State resident ID? The Lagos, if you are a resident in Lagos, you register LASRA. And one of the reasons how they want people to do that, or one of the reasons why they attract people to go ahead to register for LASRA is because there are some other indirect benefits. There are some scholarship that you want to apply for that are being sponsored by private organizations that it's currently in Lagos, and that you can only get such benefit if you have a LASRA registration number and a LASRA registration card, that you're a bona fide resident of Lagos State. And that has made a lot of people to have that ID. Yeah. So if Lagos State used that and say, okay, in the next 1 month, they are telling you, look, because of what we have done in LASRA, we have more than 20 million people or 25 million people who are captured under the registration of LASRA as bona fide residents of Lagos. You need to believe them. Something they can ride on. Other states may not have that, and they need to, because population is one of the criteria for which resources is disbursed and allocated to different states.
Yes, I love the fact that you said every state. Yes, every state should. You should know the number of people that are in the state. If not, you will give one bag of rice to 500 people.
How would you plan the economy of that?
You understand? You will not be able to plan if you don't.
How do you plan building infrastructure? If you're building infrastructure that is going to cater for 20 million people, how do you know that you have 20 million people? If you boast of your state having 18 or 15 million people in terms of population, how do you arrive at that? And how are you going to ration or tell yourself as a government, or tell the people that this is the level of my infrastructure when it comes to road networks, this is how the terrain is going to cover with your level of the blueprint with regards to transportation. How are you going to put out that blueprint? If you do not have the number of people, even if something that you can hinge your development map on, if you do not have that as a state, then I don't think you're doing well. Okay, so and Lagos is a template to copy.
Yes, away from states, policies, and the likes. For businesses right now, most people think, as we rightly said when you were before we went on the last break, it's not for big businesses alone, big companies, I meant to say again. So, like he rightly said, using that data while he was in business school. Now, the thing is, you see that business, that small business you run in there, you need the data. You and I, Priya, you will agree with me that you feel very comfortable with a vendor or a business person who gives you certain, who sell with certain amount of information to you.
Okay.
Especially when the person is being real. I've been to a vendor who will say, okay, this product, he will tell you that there is not much difference. The difference is this. And the person was being real. Do you know, another time I went back there, because I know, yes, the amount of information I need about a product, this person has so much knowledge about it. Now, that is how take it or you leave it. The person, I'm already a customer. The person, I always go there whenever I want to buy that particular product. So it makes customers feel very comfortable with you. It helps the business to grow. And of course, the more customers you have, the more profit you make. That is what statistics does. So now the thing is, let's not look at it that statistics is just the figure. Even you, myself, we need it for our daily lives. We need the figures. And he said something. Sometimes you are already collecting data. Sometimes without knowing it. The time you wake up on a Wednesday to get to the BRT bus stop or to the bus stop, it's not the same time you wake up on a Monday morning.
I'm sure you wake up earlier on Monday morning.
You understand? So in your head, that has been stuck in there because you understand very well that the number of persons at the bus stop on a Monday morning is far, far more than what you have on Wednesday. So you can see that information, data is not just for businesses, it's not just for government, it is even for the individuals. It helps us plan, it helps us make wise decisions. And it helps us, for businesses, it helps them to make profits. And of course, we all need it every day. And I feel it was a good show having Ayodele on the show.
Yes, it was a good show having him talk about data and its impact in business decision making. And this is where we draw the curtain on Just Africa. Many thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV. I am Oyinpriye Joseph. It's been fantastic speaking with you today.
And I'm Umevi Idolo. Many thanks for watching.
Human ingenuity Community has birthed remarkable innovations, none more so than the rise of intelligent machines. Computers, once more calculators, have evolved into sophisticated systems capable of mimicking human thought processes. Powered by artificial intelligence, AI, these systems are learning, problem solving, and making decisions that were once exclusive domain of humans. From accelerating scientific discovery to tackling climate change, AI's potential is vast, but perhaps its most profound impact lies in healthcare. Artificial intelligence, AI, it's no longer a futuristic concept. It's here with the potential to revolutionize patient care, diagnosis, and treatment. AI is emerging as a powerful tool in the hands of medical professionals. From detecting diseases early to optimizing treatment plans, AI is demonstrating remarkable capabilities. It can analyze vast amounts of medical data to identify patterns and predict outcomes, aiding in more accurate diagnosis. Also, AI-powered robots are assisting in surgeries, improving precision, and reducing recovery times. However, despite its promises, challenges persist. Concerns about data privacy, ethical implications, and the need for robust regulatory frameworks are hindering widespread AI adoption. To fully unlock AI's potential in healthcare, collaborative efforts are essential. Healthcare providers, researchers, policymakers, and technology companies must work together to develop and implement AI solutions responsibly. By addressing ethical concerns, investing in AI research, and creating supportive regulatory environments, we can accelerate the integration of AI into healthcare and improve patient outcomes. Joy Chuma, SOUQ News.
Cocoa has more than tripled in costs over the past year and is up 129% this year. The rise in cocoa prices is likely due to a global cocoa shortage. Climate change-induced drought has ravaged crops in West Africa, which contributes around 80% of the world's cocoa output. According to the International Cocoa Association, global cocoa supply will decline by almost 11% over the 2023-24 season. The world produces nearly 6 million tons of cocoa beans each year, and consumers may begin to feel the impact of this shortage by the end of this year or early next year. Nigeria's cocoa earnings in the first quarter of this year surged by 279%. Driven by a sharp increase in its prices in the international market. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) indicates that in the first 3 months of the year, the value of cocoa exports totaled 408.66 billion naira. This represents an increase of 279% from the 179.5 billion naira recorded in the first 3 months of 2023. When compared to the preceding quarter, total cocoa exports increased by 138% from 117.29 billion naira recorded in the preceding quarter. Despite the significant depreciation of the naira in the first quarter of the year, the dollar value of cocoa exports saw a significant increase both year on year and quarter on quarter. There was a 63.3% increase in the dollar value of Nigeria's exports between the fourth quarter of 2023 and the first quarter of 2024. Using the closing rate of the dollar to the naira at the end of December 2023, cocoa exports for the period stood at $188.83 million. This increased to $312.19 million at the end of the first quarter of 2024, using the exchange rates at the end of March. Year on year, the dollar value of exports in the first quarter of 2023 stood at $223 million. Bayo Olaoye, SOUQ News.
The National Assembly, in collaboration with the African Development Studies Center, ADSC, held a 5-day national capacity building workshop on treaties, agreements, and protocols for federal MDAs. with the theme Enhancing Institutional Capacity for Effective Treaty Negotiation, Implementation and Oversight in Nigeria. Honorable Barrister Rabiu Yusuf, Chairman of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements in the 10th Assembly, highlighted the importance of strengthening the skills of key government officials in treaty processes.
At this particular moment of our country, we need a situation whereby all the stakeholders involved in external engagement with other countries, particularly state and federal governments, and mostly MDAs of the at national level, to ensure that they are aware, they know what it takes, they know how it will be, and they know what it takes to ensure the institutionalized democracy and the legal approach as far as ratification, engagement, domestication of treaties. That is why the 10th National Assembly, under the able leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, mandated our committee, pursuant to Section 12 sub 2 of the Constitution, that we should reach out to all necessary stakeholders who are personally stakeholders on this engagement to ensure they know how it takes and they know how to execute it. Basically, that is the reason we are conducting this exercise.
Actually, I think there is no point for me to deliver my remark at this time, because I'm very much aware that my remarks have been delivered instead of distinction. So in other words, I will just say I really sincerely appreciate your presence in this program, and I believe it will go far in helping the system, stimulating the system, and work for the Nigerian progress. So I wish you a fruitful discussion and a successful outcome. Thank you very much.
The major challenge, everybody is going silo, in the sense that we are not trying to bring ourselves into the same table to ensure that before you find any entity, be it state, local governments, or federal entity, as far as engagement is concerned with other outside world, you need to know there are provisions of the Constitution which you need to comply. Failure to comply with that provision of the Constitution, whatever you do, it will go to a nullity, invalid, and is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution. And to the extent of that inconsistency, it is null and void, and of no effect whatsoever. So we're trying to avoid this scenario whereby at national level or at international fora, Nigeria will be embarrassed because the stakeholders, the principal actors, they didn't even know what they are doing. So that is why we decided at this particular moment it is ripe and necessary to ensure that we engage with unnecessary stakeholders. That is the basic reasons for engaging in these activities. Actually, I recommend their effort to any other entity, because if you can see, most of them, they are legal luminaries. They know their audience, they know what they are doing. So I really appreciate, they did a very wonderful job. And I sincerely appreciate. That's the main reason that I say I need to be here in Lagos, at least to supervise the happening in Lagos, and I'm impressed. Engagement with outside world it is two ways. It is going to be either bilateral or multilateral. So with this kind of workshop or with this kind of discourse, we believe the principal actors will now know what it takes to enter a treaty. And if they comply with what they are taught in this session, if they advise their principal when they go back to their respective MDA on the right way to go, I believe most of the treaties will be legally binding in Nigeria, provided they follow the procedure laid down by the Constitution. The future is bright. And the future, we will ensure in the future that all the treaties, all the agreements, all the international protocols have been observed to the latter, have been protected and enforced as it is enshrined in the Constitution. And with this kind of workshop, we believe we will create a series of avenues whereby we will engage other parties, other necessary stakeholders. We just set the ball rolling, and we will be there, inshallah.
Also sharing insights on the workshop, the clerk of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements discussed the value of the training in improving the understanding and application of international agreements across MDAs. He noted that the engagement served as an eye-opener, equipping participants with tools for more effective negotiation and oversight.
I'm a Nigerian, I'm a citizen of Nigeria, and I want Nigeria to benefit from its interaction with the international community, and it starts from things like this. For us to be able to interact well, we need to know what it entails to engage in the international community. When we are talking about treaties, what does it entail to enter into treaties? How do we do that? How do we negotiate? How do we implement? How do we oversight as a parliament? So it is my duty as a clerk of the committee to advise the chairman and the committee members on how to go on all these issues, and also very instrumental to the organization of this workshop today. Our partners, the facilitators, are very, very excellent. We appreciate them, and it's also a collaborative effort between us and them. And so far, so good. What we have achieved so far has been fantastic. The participants are very, very impressed. I myself am impressed, and I also there are some things I'm taking home. For instance, now. Nigerians used to think before that our negotiators who negotiate treaties will just go abroad, go on tea party, shopping, but it's not more the case. By what I'm seeing here now, I can see experts, technocrats who know their honors, who take the bull by the horn and do what it's supposed to do. That one has been established. Even our facilitators can attest to that as well. Another thing is that the quality of ideas being shown and being given us here is very, very apt to our situation presently, so that we can apply in our situation in Nigeria. And going forward, if this lesson continues, it's going to impact a lot, because the MDs, many of the MDs are here, even state governments, like Kogi State Government is here, the SSG is here, the Attorney General of Plateau State was also here, and also some top directors in the federal MDA, they are here. So it's a high-class, high-level engagement workshop. We are in a political environment, I must tell you that. But we technocrats are supposed to be the advisors and movers of policies. So they don't need to bend. They need to stick to the rule. And I also to advise our government, our leaders, that as well as they are making policies, they should also consider the benefits, the interest of the country, not just politics. They should not play politics with it. They should consider the interest of the country first, and also the people. It's an appeal that everybody that has a responsibility to do, either in the public service, or in the private sector, in government, do your responsibility as much as you can, in a good faith, in a sincerity. Don't put your personal interests above national interests.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be here to make a closing remarks on behalf of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, 10th National Assembly, Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas. He has mandated me to deliver this goodwill closing remarks. We appreciate your time, your dedication, and your efforts in trying to attend this program and attentively pay attention to the discourse and further issue being deliberated here. And it is believed that this message you have learned here, or what you have learned here, will be passed towards your chief executive officers, and at the same time you will guide them in achieving the necessary mandates in deciding issues of treaties, operation of treaties, and what have you. So at this juncture, on behalf of the Right Honourable Speaker, we wish you a safe return to your various destination, and we believe you will pass the message to all other necessary stakeholders. Thank you very much.
When you visit Lagos for the first time and Google fun or recreational places in the city, at the top of that list will be Freedom Park. Located in Lagos Island on Broad Street, Freedom Park over the years has become home to the Nigerian arts and the culture at large. From annual big shows like the Lagos Theatre Festival, celebration at the Lagos Poetry Festival, to local festivals that celebrate literature, music and arts. Freedom Park is one of the most visited recreational sites in Lagos, for both local and tourist people alike. A place to mingle, unwind, or simply just have fun. Freedom Park, however, hasn't always been a place of fun and games. It has a history that dates to 1861, when Lagos was made a British colony. In 1885, Freedom Park was built as a fortified prison from imported bricks. It was referred to as Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison. Some prominent political prisoners were held in the prison, people such as Herbert Macaulay, Michael Imodu, and Obafemi Awolowo. In 1979, Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison was destroyed, reduced to a dumping ground. It was later rebuilt in the 1990s, celebrated in 2010, Nigeria's 50th Independence Day. Freedom Park still holds a bit of its history within its walls. In the museum, where there are pictures and artifacts. Some of the old prison facilities have been converted into leisure facilities that people visit and enjoy today.
Thank you once again for inviting me over. What would I say? Just doing a lot of wonderful things all over the world, working towards development of humanity in the areas of most especially sports development, football management, football administration, and other businesses I'm involved in. So that's what I've been up to. Well, basically, the National Sports Commission is there to ensure that sports development is put in a proper perspective. There are a lot of papers, a lot of policy papers, a lot of things that have been put in place. So they need to go into it, look at it, and structure something positive out for the development of sports in the country. I'm sure they have all what it takes to do it, and the zeal and the power to go ahead and put those things in place. So that's basically what they need to do. How the implementation is key, And I know, well, one way or the other, they should have the wherewithal to do it. So I wish them all the best. Well, you see, I don't like criticizing. I think I've gone away from areas of criticizing, but the standard of the league is very poor, and they have to put all efforts together to improve on the league. Also, the technicalities of the game, the manpower. We have to, we're still doing what we practiced 15 to 10 years ago, so it's not changed. So all those things have to change. We have to go away from the mediocre ways of running the game and putting more investment in development of the game itself. And the clubs have to be, it's so sad that we in Nigeria prefer to watch the Premier League compared to the Nigerian Premier League. It's a sad story. I remember 40 years ago, you could go to the stadium and watch our local, amateur league, and there were standards. So there's no reason why we can't bring that back. It's the wherewithal, the willpower to do it, and the stem from, having to go away from the area of mediocrity, where we bring in professionalism. We have the people that can do it, without any doubt. But for the system to allow them come in and do those things is another question. How that is going to be done, we've talked about it for many years, but nothing has been done about it. I pray and I hope someday they'll put up the proper perspective and the willpower to do those things. When it comes to grassroots football, we really have to start with kids from a very early age. We must have we have to start with them from age 5 to 16, to 18, to 20. So you have to have a sequence, a system where you build around from the very younger ones, and you have a uniform structure. Number one, we have to identify the kind of football we want to play in Nigeria, our type of football, our ethos, what we want to play. And then we can now imbibe that, put it in our kids from a very early age. So from age 5, you go under 5 to under 8, under 8 to under 12, under 12 to under 16, under 16 to under 18. You have those structures in place, and it's spread around the nation. Now, where it's not the under 5 or under 18 where you put a 20-year-old or 25-year-old. We have to have a system where those kids are registered and we can monitor them from a very early age. You understand me? Where we don't cheat, where we bring in the right age and we train them to perform at different age group levels. And going into from there and then going into the national sides, so we can start playing the under 10, under 15, or under 16, under 18. You understand me? So those structures have to be in place, which we don't have today. There must be uniformity. You understand? So if we can do that in the future, we will progress. But there must be a system in place. We must have coaches that have been trained to work with the kids from that very early age. And those coaches are trained within the system, within the Nigerian Football Federation, and then they're sent out to work with those children all over the nation. The football academies we have today are only out to sell players. You understand me? So what I'm saying here is where we have, I'm not saying academies shouldn't sell players or not. Those players in the academies, if we have uniformity, should be playing in the league. And then we must have a cap where we say, look, until a certain age, you can't leave the country. You must play in that league because we've invested in you. We've invested in those kids. So maybe they will have to play till they're 20 or 18 or 19, where they can now go out, you understand, to play abroad. But there must be a structure in place, and there must be laws guiding it. That's the only way we can excel. it also goes to do. It also goes back to what I've been saying. The girls, the female team in Nigeria today, I believe the girls, I call them girls or ladies, are the ones that will ever win the World Cup first. They got the capacity. They got the women football. They can win the World Cup. They got what it takes. But then it now goes back to our attitude and the corruption in the system. You understand me? If you allow the other girls from a very early age develop, and you have the same system I'm talking about, that cap of under 5, under 8, under 10, and you structure and you do it continuously in uniformity, we will be world beaters. We will win the World Cup at any given time because the women have got the grit. They pick up very faster than our men. They tap the balls. They are more technically better, within that range. So, but it's for us to develop those things and to take away corruption. First, when we talk about indigenous coaches, what coaches do we have? You see, if you don't have a competitive league, a highly professional league, how do you want to get good coaches? You can't get good coaches. The coaches, it's not that we don't have the capacity to build good coaches. We have a lot of talents in this country that can be world beaters, that could be top coaches. I talk to young stars. Young stars will talk to you about the technicality of the game. They're very bright. Even my son, when he talks to me about football, I think he knows the game better than I do today. The technicalities of the game, you understand me? The formations, how players play back and forth. It's because you've given them the exposure. And we need to give our young stars that exposure. We need to develop them. That's what we're not doing. We have to invest in them. But for now, we have not done that. And what we're doing today is those bunch of coaches we have are not good enough to run the national team at that level of competition. I have one or two of them in America that are sound, they're there. But how many of them can you bring into the system? You understand me? Our local coaches, we need National Institute of Sports. Now, please, let's forget about the National Institute of Sports. That I use a word, it's been alamalized. That's a very poor system. It has nothing. We have nothing there. I'm serious. I'm not running anything. Our National Sports Institute is a disgrace. So we shouldn't be talking about that. Yeah. If you want to talk about a National Sports Institute, and you go to Australia and other countries, and you see what it is, you see the standards. We don't have those things. Ours is archaic.
Is it beyond redemption?
There's nothing beyond redemption. It can be, we can work on it. We can develop it. We just have a time frame, work around it. See, there's nothing we cannot do in this country. We got everything possible to do it. It's the wherewithal. Do we have that mindset to do it? Are we ready for it? Those are the things we have to look at. Or do we want to continue with our mediocrity? But really, sincerely speaking, there's nothing impossible. We can do anything here. We've got great youngsters. We have to remove all this old, archaic way of thinking and then bring in a more modern, professional approach to things. So that's it. The media is one of the most corrupt anyway, I'm sorry to say. The sports media and all that, the sports writers. I worked in the system, I know how corrupt they are. Majority of them are corrupt. I'm saying it. They challenge me, but it's the truth. Until we get rid of all those things, where our boys go and collect envelopes to write or favor people, we're not going to get anywhere. I'm not saying the press, but the sports writers are a disgrace. See, the supporters club is not going to do anything or develop football. This is just to travel, get things. Oh, it's fine. It's good to have fans. But what has that got to do with football development? Nothing. Supporters club is not going to do anything. They're playing their own politics. You understand me? They want to travel. That's it. Travel around the world, do things. But is that part of football development? That is not football development. So let's leave that aside. We're talking about the professional, the technicalities, what it takes to develop national sides or a proper league. Then the supporters club has nothing to do with it. Do you see, how many people do you see at stadiums in Nigeria instead of watching football? Scanty, there's nothing. It's not like in the days where in the 70s or even in the 60s, if we are going to play a game at 4:45 in the afternoon, the stadium is full to capacity at 11 in the morning. You don't have that anymore. So what are we talking about, supporters club? Yeah, if you build a league that has the quality, the professionalism, and all the standards are put in place, then you can bring them back. Then you can bring the crowd back. I think it's very unfair to call it lesser sports. All sports are tops. Yeah, it's very wrong to call them. They're top sports. Basketball is tops. Athletics is tops. It's very wrong. I think it's very unfair to call them lesser sports. See, bottom line is the politics, the greed. You understand me? We have top talented basketball players all over the world. We can put them together. It's all about management. It's all about commitment. But you don't have those things there. It's about myself. It's all about self-aggrandization. What do I get from this? It's not about what do we do to build these teams or these athletes to be world beaters. Do you understand me? So you're not going to get anything out of it. You will never. It's the bottom line. You'll never ever get anything. So you'll always have factions. You'll always have people fighting. Why do you fight for what? If you can collectively come together to build a system, a structure for basketball, for example, because the girls are tops, they can perform, they could do far better than where they are today. I always tell you, the female teams in Nigeria will always excel in athletics, in basketball and all that. Our male are a bit arrogant and clunky in doing things, but the ladies are always more committed. They've got what it takes, but they need good management. It's not that the men can't do it too, the men can do it, but it all also evolves with good management. Taking away politics, taking away greed, not a situation where a coach is collecting money from a player to put a player in the team, or a member of the football association fighting for their children or family to play in the national team, or a member of government is asking someone to put their kids in the team. No, that's not it. Where is the nationalism? Where's that patriotism? Patriotism. I don't care where you come from. If you're good, you're good. If you're better than my own people, then my own people have to sit down and you let them, the others that can perform. Where would you have quota system in football? Where's that done? Do you understand me? So we have a lot of issues we need to resolve. Well, what do you expect? The athletes themselves are far more successful and far more exposed than the administrators. So the administrators obviously are always envious of those ones, and they make life difficult for them. Do you understand me? Where you have people that are not competent enough running a system, people that are not exposed, that haven't got the professional ethics to run the thing, that's what you get. Then the greed aspect, which is a standard norm for us in this country. Greed. Where people believe athletics is only, being a member of the Athletics Federation is all about traveling. You understand me? He wants to travel, she wants to travel. She wants to be in the, in the group of people that are going away. See, you can never get no results. They're all fighting to get something. And then they don't care about the athletes. They want to be in a delegation that is going to travel. Do you understand me? So that's basically it. They're not interested in the development. They haven't got the zeal. You understand me, sir? So once you don't have those things, you can never get anything right. Yeah, the private sector is one. The cricket has more because, government involvement is not as, I think you have more of the private people, interested private people that have gone to schools, top schools, that played cricket in those days. Those are the ones that are promoting cricket. So you're going to get results, you understand me? Because they're far more exposed, they understand what it takes. So the commitment is there. They're using their own funds to push, to develop the game. You understand sports. So that's why cricket is picking up. Oh, you mean the National Sports Festival? I think for now we don't really need that. We need to do more with the private sector. I think the new chairman of the National Sports Commission, he seems he's an exposed person. I think he's got to sit right and see how he can profile solutions to these things and change the course of. He's got what it takes to do it. He just has to come out of that shell, come out of that darkness. I'll call it darkness, come into real light. I think he has it. But National Sports Festival, I don't think we're ready. We really need that now. We need to do more with youth development programs. You see, a National Sports Festival in those days was more interesting because you had more schools, inter-school sports. And that is where the best athletes came from. We don't have that anymore. So first we need to build the school sports, schools, athletics and all that, build it to a standard and then go into national sports festivals. For now, we don't have that. And I think the National Sports Commission has to look into that, how they can work with the Ministry of Education and see how they can build that again. School sports. That's where you get the best. In those days, the best athletes. We knew those that will run, that will actually participate and run for Nigeria. We knew the ones that will do high jump, long jump, triple jump. We knew them, both female and females, from secondary school. You don't have that anymore. So where do they come from? Nowhere. So you have, like in those days where some schools will go and get mercenaries, pay for them to come and run. That's what you get today. So it's corrupt. Now, the Sports Commission has to work on that. It has to change it. And I know they can do it. They just need to sit back and look at how they will change the course of things. If you want to unite Nigeria with good sports, then you got to give them good results, good teams that can perform. You understand me? In the process of winning competitions, or they have a team, or they have teams that have got the quality that can move the nation, then you unite. Everybody wants to watch good football. Everybody wants to see a great athlete running. You want to see a good high jumper performing at the best. When you see that, it draws everybody together. If you have a good national team that plays excellent football, look, in Nigeria, when you look at our team, the 94 team, we were the 5th in world ranking. You were talking about ranking, which I don't really. When we really had a good ranking, we were number 5 in the world. The 94 team was number 5. The World Cup 94, we were rated as the 5th best team in the world. And you look at the style of football we played. We developed our own style of football, took it to the world, and we were respected. We don't do that anymore. We have to have an identity. You understand me? Our footballers are not the best. We're good, we're very athletic, we're strong, we're physical. You understand me? We've got to build that kind of football. We are not as technical when it comes to techniques and all that, like the Europeans. But when it comes to the physicality, you understand me, we're better. When it comes to the physicality, the mental strength, we have it. So you have to build around that. You put in a bit of technical things there, but the main issues is we got to have the muscles, the strength to run any team down. That's the kind of football we should play. We're playing lazy football now. We have to play what we played then, where we run any team down. We can play 2-3 hours non-stop. We never get tired. We don't have that anymore. We can even string passes. We can't play 2 against 4, 3 against. We don't do it anymore. We're lazy. It's got to do with the kind of coach. It's not only the coach. Yeah, the coach and then the association, the federation. They don't have a vision. You have to know what you want to present to the world. It's like any other top team in the world. In Real Madrid, Barcelona, they have their own type ethos, their own style of football. And this is what they sell to the world. We don't even know what we're doing. We have to have what it takes to sell to the world. This is what we want to do. This is how we can perform. This is a style we're going to play. And that style we believe in. And then we build the youngsters from very early to play that same type of football. We have the manual that we can work with. Uniformity. Simple. That's it. No, it's individual and the corporate, but corporate organizations. They're not doing enough. Everything can't just be government. Today, you don't even have Nigerians pumping money into sports like they used to do that. I'm sorry, I don't want to digress, and I don't want to say what my father did. I'm not promoting my family, but I knew how he invested millions of dollars building the national teams. Yeah, his personal funds. You don't get those things anymore. Do you understand me? You have to see the '94 team was done outside the outside government. It was done by individuals. That was why we were successful. But you don't have those things anymore. You just have a bunch of greedy leaders and greedy individuals or corporate bodies. It's all about them and their family. They're not giving it. So how do you want the kids to perform? How? All the kids are out there wasting away. We've got great talents in this country, but they're wasting away because we're not helping out. We're not encouraging them. We're not building structures, institutions where you can build those, you can develop those kids. Yeah. So they're on the street doing yahoo, doing all sorts of stupid things. Yeah. Because there's no competition. There's nothing to draw their attention. You understand me? Until we do those things, we can never ever change. We can't get it right. Yeah, well, for me, I don't see any difference for me, whatever you give to the female teams, you also give to the senior, to men. Because our team, our female team, at the world ranking today, we're tops, we're recognized. So you have to also allow, but for men, anywhere in the world, men always have an advantage. But doesn't mean the disparity should be so much. You give the ladies, I remember, when I was the FA chairman, I remember once the female team was in camp, and we went there in Ota. When we found out what they were earning, it was disgraceful. They couldn't even buy their, I'm sorry to say that, what you ladies use, your pads, you couldn't even buy it. I had to tell them, these are women. Why are you treating them like rubbish? They have to be looked after. Because they're going to need more of those systems because you have more wastage than men. Don't let me go into what I'm saying, but I understand. So the women have to be well taken care of. Yeah, simple. So you've got to give them what it takes. Strike a balance. You have to strike a balance. Solutions I'm going to give you, I can't give you a straight off head, right? But really, since first, we have to get rid of greed. We have to go away from all this religiosity in the system because religion has destroyed the fabrics of a nation. See, being a Christian or a Muslim or whatever doesn't mean you've got to cheat people or lie to people or not show love, you understand me? Or the religious, when I come to religion, the churches, the institutions we have today are not developing education. There must be uniformity in education. They're not developing education. Education is key. But you know what we have today? Half-baked educated youths. Half-baked. And that's the worst you can ever have. And that is key in anything we do. First, to have good leaders, well-structured. In Germany, in Europe, and now, the kids that go to the best universities, some kids are developed, they're built up to be top civil servants. So they go to Oxford, they go to Cambridge, they become top politicians. Then you have the ones that will become big and top engineers, and now they go to certain universities. All those things are structured. We had it before in the past. It's gone. We've got to find the way. It's not about just giving licenses to universities. For me, the foundation, education, is very key. When you have half-baked youths and you have half-baked leaders that haven't got that structure in place, that proper education, they can never excel. What are you going to tell them? They will never get it right. So that's very key. Now, when you talk about policies, who are the ones that are going to put the policy papers together if they're half-baked? Because you need policy papers, you need to have a better understanding of your environment, of the society. You have to have a better understanding of how the society will grow. So if you don't have that in mind, you can never develop. So you need those things to make the nation change. I'm just giving it in a nutshell. Yeah, you need more commercial, you need more private sector funding, you need more sponsorship, and then, like I said, you need more training. You need to train your coaches. Our referees are the most Nigerian referees. You don't see. Do you see any referee participating in any African Nations Cup? No. Because, and you're telling me it's the best league. That's the most corrupt league in the world. Because our coaches are not even, our referees are not even allowed. They never invite them for any Nations Cup. So what are we talking about? What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Every match in the MPFL, most times, most of the games, all home teams win. You don't see away teams coming to win. So are you telling me that's a balanced league? It's not a balanced league. It's a corrupt league. So that has to change first. When that changes, you understand me? And also, then other things will follow. You see, you have the National Olympic Committee that is run, by the private sector and government. Now you need to get the right people in the private sector to come in there to work with some people in government, people that have got the wherewithal, that got the financial muscle and the commitment to do those things. Not just people that are hustlers that just want to get something out of it. It's about people that want to give. That's what Olympics is all about. People that give, that are ready to give, to develop Olympians to be world beaters. People that truly want that mood, that soul of Olympics to excel. That's what we need. And that is what we have to work on. And that comes from leadership, that comes from the system, where you choose the right people that have got what it takes to build the Olympic team.
Optimism is a strategy for making a better future because unless you believe that the future can be better, you are unlikely to step up and take responsibility for making it so. Responsibility is the price of greatness. How else can one explain the thought process of a 24-year-old youth leaving the luxurious comforts in the United States to fill in for his incarcerated father in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, and run a family business holding the fort till stability was achieved? This is the story of Abdul Samad Rabiu, an unassuming, silent achiever. Samad Rabiu attended Capital University, Columbus, Ohio, and returned to Nigeria to oversee the family business when his father, SOUQ Rabiu, was detained by the administration of General Muhammadu Buhari for allegedly not paying the rice reports duties. Not only was his father under investigation, the family business was under scrutiny. These harsh realities of being thrust right into the middle of it all shaped the young man's resolve to hard work in silence. Abdul Samad Rabiu is the son of one of Nigeria's foremost industrialists, late Khalifa SOUQ Rabiu, founder of SOUQ Rabiu and Sons Group, a family-operated holding company with a history of investment in manufacturing, insurance, banking, and real estate. In the 1970s, the group invested in manufacturing, with its first investment being the Kano Suits and Packaging Cases Company, a factory producing suitcases and handbags. In 1972, the Bagauda Textile Mill, manufacturing woven clothes for uniforms, importing and trading in different segments of the economy, including frozen food service, sugar, and a motor vehicle and parts distribution company specialized in Daihatsu products. Abdul Samad Rabiu was born with a very big silver spoon in the ancient city of Kano on the 4th day of August in 1960, 57 days to Nigerian independence. 24 years later, responsibility beckoned. He was in the family business till 1988. Abdul Samad Rabiu, following in the steps of the family business, established BUA Bois International Limited in 1988. Solely for commodity trading, Bois International Limited imported rice, edible oil, flour, iron, and steel. The much-needed wins to his sale came in 1990. The government, owners of the Dettol Steel Company, got into a contract with Bois to supply its raw materials in exchange for finished products. This was the young company's much-needed windfall. Bois expanded further into steel, producing pellets, importing iron ore, and constructing multiple rolling mills in Nigeria. Nigerian Oil Mills Limited, the largest edible oil processing company in Nigeria, was sadly bought by Bois in 2005. Bois started 2 flour milling plants in Lagos and in Kano. By 2008, Bois had broken an 8-year monopoly in the Nigerian sugar industry by commissioning the second largest sugar refinery in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2009, the company went on to silently acquire a controlling stake in a publicly listed cement company in northern Nigeria, Sokoto Cement, and began to construct a $900 million cement plant in Ogu-Obela, Edo State, completed and commissioned in 2015, which was at that time the single largest non-oil investment in South Nigeria, and had a capacity of 6 million metric tons per annum upon completion of the second line. This was followed by a new 1.5 million metric tons line in Sokoto in 2018 and another 3 million metric ton line, which commenced in 2020 and was commissioned in 2022, bringing the total installed capacity for his cement holdings to 11 million metric tons as of January 2022. Abdul Samad Rabiu is very entrenched with his family in business, having over 40 siblings. His younger brother, Rabiu SOUQ Rabiu, was the CEO of IRS Airlines Limited, an airline based in Abuja, Nigeria. It operates scheduled domestic passenger services. Its main base was Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. The airline was established in 2002 and started operations in March 2002 and ceased operations in 2013. Kabiru Rabiu, our younger brother, currently serves as the Group Executive Director of BUA Group. In 2020, Kabiru was named the best African economic leader under the age of 40 in the 100 African Economic Leaders for Tomorrow Awards by the French Institute, SOUQ. BUA invested $300 million in a 20,000 hectares Lafiaji Sugar Estate project, which comprises a sugar mill, sugar refinery, ethanol processing plant, and 35 megawatts power plant. The company also built an exports-focused refinery in Port Harcourt, the only destination sugar refinery in sub-Saharan Africa. Abdul Samad Rabiu is constructing a 200,000 barrels per day petrochemicals refinery in Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. The agreement was signed with Access of France in August 2020 for the refinery aimed at serving Nigeria and the West African petroleum refining needs. It is expected to be completed and operational by 2025. The privately owned Omu Obela Cement Company was in January 2020 merged with the publicly listed Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, where Abdul Samad Rabiu already held a controlling stake in the $3.3 billion transaction, and BUA Cement PLC was born. Abdul Samad consolidated all his food businesses in sugar, edible oils, rice, flour, and pasta milling into a new company, BUA Foods PLC. In December 2021, it was listed on the Nigerian exchange. BUA Foods emerged as a consumer goods leader in market capitalization, experiencing a phenomenal 206% year-to-date appreciation. Share prices soared from 65 naira per share in December 2022 to the current value of 379.9 naira per share as at 24th March 2024. In terms of fundamentals, BUA Foods exhibited robust financials with a 54% increase in profits to 105.6 billion naira in the first 9 months of 2023. Revenue witnessed an impressive 80.95% year-on-year growth, reaching 524.428 billion naira, and return on average equity stood at 43.42%. Despite challenges, Rabiu strategically increased his direct shares in BUA Cement by 56.37%, totaling 96.12% ownership. This move, executed on June 26, 2023, demonstrates Rabiu's confidence in his company's future growth. BUA Foods PLC and BUA Cement PLC companies are among the top 10 most valuable publicly listed companies in sub-Saharan Africa. From a relatively small company in 1988, BUA Group has grown to a world-class conglomerate, contributing significantly to the country's GDP while providing employment opportunities for tens of thousands of Nigerians. Abdul Samad Rabiu's philanthropy is silently second to none. He founded the Abdul Samad Africa Initiative, ASR Africa, and an African-focused fund for social development and renewal which seeks to support Nigeria and other African countries in the area of health, education, and social development. In October 2022, Abdul Samad Rabiu, through ASR Africa, donated $500,000 to the United States Agency for International Development, partner on tuberculosis control, HIV, and gender-based violence prevention efforts in Nigeria. Development of a 7.5 billion naira 200-bed specialist hospital in Kano State during the global COVID-19 pandemic. Abdul Samad Rabiu championed Nigeria's donation to this COVID-19 intervention by a single individual or corporate donating, amongst other things, 1.35 billion naira to the COVID private sector coalition, 300 million naira to the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, over 1 billion naira in cash donations to 10 state governments across the country, 70 ambulances, medical equipment, face masks, provision of foodstuffs for over 1.5 million persons in Kano, Lagos, and River States. ASR Africa Initiative donated a 4 billion naira police hospital in Abuja and donated 1 billion naira each for 6 universities across Nigeria through the ASR Africa Tertiary Education Grants Scheme for infrastructural development. The beneficiaries of the 6 billion naira tertiary education grant schemes are Ahmadu Bello University, University of Ibadan, University of Maiduguri, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, University of Ilorin, and the University of Benin. AES Power Africa Initiative also donated 2.5 billion naira each through its tertiary healthcare development grants for health projects across 4 geopolitical zones in the country. These are in addition to 5 billion naira donated to build the first teaching hospital in Akwa Ibom State, donated 10 billion naira to the Security Support Fund of the Nigerian government. Abdul Samad Rabiu was awarded the 2022 CEO of the Year at the African CSR Awards, 2016 African Industrialist of the Year Awards by the All African Business Leader Awards, the 2022 Sun Man of the Year Awards, 2020 Vanguard Business Person of the Year, and the New Telegraph Philanthropist of the Year 2021. A recipient of several honorary doctorate degrees from various universities, including the University of Benin, Nasarawa State University, Sokoto State University, and Crescent University. Abdul Samad Rabiu is a fellow of the Institute of Directors, and he currently holds the prestigious Nigerian National Honors, Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, CFR, Commander of the Order of Niger, CON, as well as the highest civilian national honor in Niger Republic. Abdul Samad Rabiu is married with children. His children are Mustafa Khadija Kuki Rabiu, Ishaku Khalifa Rabiu, Junad Rabiu. On the 22nd of January 2024, Forbes estimated Rabiu's wealth at $5.9 billion, putting him as the 6th wealthiest man in Africa and 508th in the Global Billionaires Club. The family man, the silent achiever, the giver, Abdul Samad Rabiu.
The bank was totally gone, so there was nothing to say they had. But we still approached them and said we would like to take over this bank. The journey since 1997 has been one thing or the other, and I'm happy that many years down the line we look back and we're happy that we're audacious and bold to make them move at the time. That's why today in UBA, perseverance, resilience is a core virtue, a core attribute, a core value of ours, because we apply that early on in this journey. So that's how it all started.
Leadership, according to some Peters, entails vision, enthusiasm, trust, verve, passion, and consistency. If there's one man who graciously combines these virtues, the name Tony Elumelu comes to mind.
They say that success to a large extent is dependent on being at the right place at the right time.
I say to people, my elder brother who is 7 years older than me, you don't have gray hair. I have gray hair. My gray hair started from the merger because making it work, serving your customers, making sure that everyone in the universe or the institution which was we had 428 branches at the time. That it was same level of service across board. Customers of standard trust bank that were used to a certain level of service delivery, you will not want them to come to the new institution and have a drop.
From the womb of time, Tony Elumelu has been an embodiment of nobility and excellence. He remains one of the flying eagles and shining eggheads of the banking industry. The life and times of Tony is an inspiring tale. He is one Nigeria who is unmoved by material wealth and self-aggrandizement. Tony's noble qualities were earned from his humble background. Growing up with 4 siblings in Jos Plateau State, the cowboy of the banking industry who hails from Anocha North local government area of Delta State, believed in the democratization of law combined with hard work. He began his career as a copier salesman. The Ambrose Ali University graduate of economics also bagged a master's degree in economics from the University of Lagos. In 2019, he received an honorary Doctor of Business degree from Bayero University, Kano.
Going to university, I just thought I wanted to be a businessman because my mom's brother, my mom and his brother were just 2 of them. So my uncle was a businessman, in Nigeria, and was quite successful at the time. And I was influenced. I thought he was very rich, and also I wanted to be a businessman, but not knowing whether just a businessman, you know what I mean? Because he was described then as a businessman. And but in university, that was why I read economics, just to see. But in university, I got more enlightened because I knew more how things operated. And first degree, I was saying I just wanted a good job that would give me the start. But when I came to do my master's at Unilag, being in urban or Unilag, a lot happening at the time. And that was the era of new generation banks, a lot happening. Our friends, in banking, our friends, some got jobs in some banks. And so that's all of us who were doing masters at the time. I did masters in economics. Who were doing masters at the time, we just became interested and fascinated. We were interested in working in a bank. New generation bank, not old generation bank, not. And so that was how it all started. And we started applying for jobs in our banks. And I got, yes, at the master's level, it was clear I wanted to work in a bank. And yes, that was started. As in then, Santana was a posh guy. So we the oppressors in school, I must say. And then we too wanted to become the big boys in future with the blue shoes, suspenders, white shirt, dark suits, etc.
The growth and development of any institution is determined by the quality of its leadership. For Tony Elumelu, his sterling performance and leadership scorecard in the banking industry remains a reference point. He rose quickly to become the youngest bank branch manager at Allstate Trust Bank at the age of 36. He formed a coalition to acquire a distressed financial institution, Crystal Bank, and became its CEO, an action that earned him and his circle of peers the nickname the Cowboys of Banking.
In 1997, some of us came together and acquired a distressed financial institution. We acquired this financial institution, we turned it around, we set targets for ourselves, strategic plans, targets, the first year strategic intent, we want to make it a viable financial services company. Second year intent, we want to become a leading financial services group on the continent. And third financial intent is a strategic intent to become a player in the global financial arena. As we all know, there's so much private global capital seeking the right investment destination. All it takes is for a leadership to show that this country is set for business and people come there. We want to move into an economy where they can invest freely as well as move their monies out when it comes for time for dividend and remittances and repatriation of a dividend. So I will continue to invest because of the signal that we see in the market, because of certain fundamentals that are right.
He audaciously led the largest merger in Africa between United Bank of Africa and Standard Trust Bank. Tony's fancy for red tie remains emblem of his appearance. He retired as CEO of United Bank for Africa in 2010. He is presently the chairman of Heirs Holdings, the United Bank for Africa, Transcorp, and founder of the Tony Enumelu Foundation.
I can't express how excited I am in words to be here and to be selected among the 1,000.
It's the opportunity for me to realize my dreams. So I go into business and start to make my way.
It challenges you to do things you never thought you could do.
Maybe if you'd have gone to a private school or an MBA, you must have paid a lot to get this kind of, enlightenment.
Ça me fait plaisir de voir des frères et sœurs qui veulent se rencontrer, se connaître et partager et créer un réseau, peut-être le plus grand réseau africain.
Venho de Cabo Verde.
Je suis tunisien.
Je viens de la République du Bénin. I'm from Edo State, Nigeria. I'm from Ghana.
Zimbabwe.
Sudan.
From Rwanda.
Gabon.
Uganda.
Senegal.
Niger.
I'm from the Gambia.
Welcome and thank you for coming to Lagos. I'd like to start by congratulating all of you. You have done well. Most entrepreneurs are creative people. They have creative mindset. They're innovative. Those who dare to dream and who dare to innovate in Africa should have the opportunity to prove their innovation. And that is why we have $10,000 for these 10,000 Africans to help prove their concept and prepare them for bigger scale financial support. We don't give because we see it as a moral burden to just give charity. But we want to give people because we want to uplift them. We want them to be self-reliant. We want them to be fishermen. We want them to do what we are doing. We want them to prosper in life, become successful.
Tony made a tremendous contribution to giving back to the society. His selfless efforts and huge investment into humanity through the Tony Enumelu Foundation is widely admired as the leading philanthropy empowering a new generation of African entrepreneurs, driving poverty eradication, catalyzing job creation across all 54 African countries, and increasing women economic empowerment. Since the launch of the entrepreneurship program in 2015, the foundation has trained over 1.5 million young Africans on its digital hub. Tony, the Nigerian economist, entrepreneur and philanthropist, holds the Nigerian National Honors, the Commander of the Order of Niger, CON, member of the Order of the Federal Republic, MFR. He has been responsible for creating business that are critical to Africa's economic development. He is a proponent of Africa capitalism, an economic philosophy which advocates for the private sector's commitment to Africa's development through long-term investment in strategic sectors of the economy that drive economic prosperity and social wealth award. He was awarded the Daily Times the Nigerian Man of the Year in 2016. He was honored with the National Productivity Order of Merit Award in 2019. He is also on the list of Time magazine's 100 most influential people of 2020. On October 11, 2022, Enumelu received the National Honor of Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Tony, as a staunch professional and chairman of Foremost Bank, may understandably runs a busy daily schedule like that of a bee, but he balances the equation with creating time for sports. His love for lawn tennis and football stands undeniable.
My good workout is, I think I would say that I like to jump on the sport. I love yoga, as you said. Yeah. But these days I'm trying to get in the group of practice.
Tony is not just a champion in the banking hall. He equally balances the equation when it comes to family life.
For me, as a family man, though, I try to make sure I balance things. I try to make sure my family side is not so. In that process, I was also growing a family, having my kids and co. So, but everything came together.
Tony is happily married to Awele Vivian Enumelu, who is the chairperson of Having Medical Practice Limited. Vivian also oversees the healthcare investment of Heirs Holdings. She holds a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery degree from the University of Benin. The marriage was consummated in 1993 and blessed with 7 children. According to Forbes' list, Tony is among the top 10 richest entrepreneurs in Nigeria with a net worth estimated at $1 billion.
We don't just preach. We don't just theorize, we practice.
Tony has stooped to conquer not just in the banking industry, but in life. The strides of this living legend, popularly referred to as the Lion of Africa's financial industry, remains iconic.
To entrepreneurs who are listening, quick one, short one, straight to the point. Entrepreneurship is a long-term journey. Stop seeing it as a short-term goal. Long-term journey. Great companies, great and accomplished entrepreneurs did not make it in 1 year. They didn't make it in 3 years. It's a long-term journey. So moving, dare to dream, implement your dream, and stay focused.
Hello and welcome to World News on SOUQ News Television. I am Olumide Shukwaya. Let's begin with today's top stories. New tax reforms exempt Nigerians abroad from TIN and tax filing unless earning locally. Governor Sanwo-Olu unveils $410 million Omieko project to modernize Lagos waterways. Morocco boosts 2026 health and education budget by 16% after youth protest. Donald Trump sets core demands on rare earth, fentanyl, and soybeans ahead of US-China talks. And in sport news, Barcelona reports €17 million loss despite €994 million revenue for 2024-2025 season. Now let's begin. Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has clarified that Nigerians living abroad are not required to obtain a tax identification number (TIN) or file tax returns unless they earn income from Nigerian sources. Oyedele explained that the clarification became necessary following public confusion about the committee's ongoing tax reforms and their potential implications for Nigerians in the diaspora. He noted that under existing tax laws, only income earned or derived from Nigeria is subject to taxation by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. He stressed that Nigerians who live and work overseas without earning from Nigerian sources have no tax obligations to the country. Oyedele also said the committee is working to simplify and modernize Nigeria's tax system, ensure fairness, and remove unnecessary compliance burdens on citizens. The reforms, he added, aim to boost efficiency, attract investment, and strengthen public trust and fiscal governance. The federal government and the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, CIS, have reaffirmed the need for stronger public-private collaborations to achieve Nigeria's $1 trillion economy target by 2030. Both sides agree that coordinated fiscal, monetary, and capital market policies are essential to unlocking the country's full economic potential and driving inclusive growth. Speaking at the 29th Annual Stockbroker Conference in Abuja, officials and market operators said the capital market must play a central role in mobilizing long-term investment and strengthening investor confidence. The event themed capital markets in a digital, ethical, and sustainable era, charting pathways for economic transformation, brought together financial experts to explore practical reforms for deepening market liquidity and promoting innovation. CIS President Oluwole Adeosun pledged that the Institute would continue to engage policymakers on aligning capital market reforms with the national priorities. Representatives from Finance Ministry and Securities and Exchange Commission also reaffirmed their commitment to policies that attract both local and foreign capitals for sustainable economic expansion. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has launched the $410 million Omieko project to modernize and expand the state's waterways into a sustainable transport corridor. The initiative forms part of Lagos Integrated Transport Master Plan aimed at reducing road congestion, cutting emissions, and improving mobility for millions of residents. Under the project, new terminals and jetties will be built across key coastal routes, while electric and hybrid ferries will be introduced to ensure safer and cleaner water transportation. Speaking at the launch, Governor Sanwo-Olu said that the project will create thousands of jobs, boost tourism, and unlock Lagos' blue economy potential. He noted that providing reliable alternatives to road transport, the Omieko initiative will also help reduce travel time and improve business productivity. The state government is partnering with private investors and international development agencies to deliver the project over multiple phases by 2030. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo has called for closer collaboration between judiciary and the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) to safeguard passenger rights, enhance safety, and strengthen justice in the aviation sector. Speaking in Abuja at the 2025 NCAA Judges Conference themed the role of judges in sustaining Nigeria's adherence to applicable international conventions in relations to carriage by air, Keyamo emphasized that judicial support is essential for effective enforcement of aviation laws and international conventions. He said the ministry's goal is to build a transparent and credible system that earns the trust of passengers, investors, and global partners. Keyamo stressed that aligning judicial interpretation with international aviation standards will not only protect travelers, but also boost investor confidence and Nigeria's reputation as a safe and reliable aviation hub. France Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jean-Noel Barrot, has pledged to strengthen the technological cooperation with Nigeria, focusing on innovation and the development of local solutions to tackle domestic challenges. Speaking on the sidelines of Creational Afrique Forum in Lagos at the weekend, Barrot said both countries would work together to build digital tools and enhance their strategic autonomy and promote sustainable growth through innovation. He emphasized the need for balanced regulation that encourages creativity without allowing technology to be misused or deployed against citizens' interests. Barrot added that the partnership aims to create an enabling environment where innovators in Nigeria can thrive while maintaining ethical and security standards in the fast-evolving tech landscape. Now, the federal government has extended the probe into the alleged under-remittance of $42.37 billion by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and NPCL and all the revenue-generating agencies to December 2024. The decision approved by the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAAC, follows lingering discrepancies and remittances to the Federation account. According to the document from FAAC's October 2025 meeting, the extension was granted after the Reconciliation Subcommittee reported that several payments and records are yet to be fully verified. The probe covers transactions between 2011 and 2017, during which NNPCL was accused of failing to remit $42.37 billion, approximately 12.91 trillion naira in oil revenue. Officials say the extension will allow for a comprehensive review of all financial records and interagency transfers before final reconciliation. The move is part of the government's broader efforts to improve transparency and accountability in the management of national oil revenues. Tomato traders in Lagos have attributed the sharp rise in price to poor storage infrastructure, high transportation costs, and insecurity affecting supplies from the northern farming regions. Market surveys show that the price of a basket of tomatoes has more than doubled in recent weeks, putting pressure on households and food vendors across the state. Traders say large quantities of tomatoes perish before reaching southern markets due to the absence of cold storage facilities and poor road networks. They also cited frequent attacks on transporters and farmers in the northern state as key factor, disrupting consistent supply. Many transporters now charge higher fees to cover risk for the inflating retail prices. Experts warn that unless the government improves storage, logistics, and security along key agricultural routes, Nigeria will continue to face periodic food price shocks driven by inefficiencies in the supply chain. The Global Lives Transformers Network, a non-governmental organization in partnership with the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs on redefining leadership for a sustainable future, brought together leadership experts, business leaders, and young minds on the need to pursue values, purpose, and sustainable impact in the society. It was an eye-opening event that threw young people from all walks of life, career, and practice. Onyipriye Krumale tells us more.
The Global Leadership Conclave Lagos has brought together policymakers, business leaders, development experts, and young innovators under one roof, all united by a common vision, transforming leadership ideals into practical action for sustainable development. Organized by the Global Lives Transformers Network in partnership with the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, the event is themed Redefining Leadership for a Sustainable Future.
Global Leadership Conclave is all about bringing leaders of diverse sector and field to come together to discuss on leadership in the age of disruption, innovation, resilience, and sustainability. Here we'll come together to discuss on the ever-disruptive world that we're in now and how leaders can remain still resilient, can be innovative, and then build sustainably.
Speakers at the forum include Sir Victor Walsh, Mr. Tunji Ido, Dr. Patrick Uduma, Engineer Tony Obuigwe, and others. They emphasize the urgent need for transformational leadership that bridges the gap between policy, ethics, and enterprise, particularly in developing economies like Nigeria. Discussions also centered on equipping the next generation of leaders with global competencies, integrity-driven values, and digital age problem-solving skills to drive inclusive economic growth.
Leadership is a topic that is very important for us as a nation and something that is very rare. The right type of leadership is not very common in our climate, and it's the wrong one that often hogs the limelight. So it's important that we're able to point to other models, other examples that have stood the test of time and that have helped other nations to get to where they are, and the kind of leadership we had before things went down in our nation, so that people, the young ones, can see alternatives and then they can be reset and redirected on the right path.
My presence here is to contribute to the conversation on leadership, starting with self-leadership. How can young people drive change in the society and in our environment? How can we influence positively the polity that we find ourselves? We are heading towards elections, in another 1 year. How can we make a significant impact in that system, in that process?
The conclave, holding at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs Auditorium, Kofo Abayomi Street, Victoria Island, features panel sessions, keynote addresses, and networking segments designed to strengthen collaboration between government institutions, private sector players, and civil society actors.
Yes, I think that these youth have the most amazing age.
because not only have they found mentorship, they've also found role models, because I say that the quality of your mind determine the quality of your life. And the quality of information that they have can revolutionize their life, their family, and the entire nation.
Participants said the platform reflects a growing recognition and that effective leadership is the foundation of national progress and international competitiveness. Oyinpriye Krumale, SOUQ News Television.
We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Stay tuned.
The rise and fall of Nigeria Airways is a story steeped in mismanagement and missed opportunities. Established in 1958, Nigeria Airways, the national carrier, initially soared as a symbol of national pride. However, a series of missteps led to its unfortunate demise. In 2008, financial mismanagement became its Achilles' heel. The airline became bloated with an oversized workforce, hemorrhaging money on profitable routes while neglecting crucial safety maintenance. These issues stemmed from a lack of transparency and accountability. The government, as the majority owner, failed to implement proper checks and balances, allowing mismanagement to foster. Weak regulatory oversight likely played a part as well, with instances of impounded aircraft due to unpaid debts and safety concerns raised by international bodies. Ultimately, the crippling debt burden proved unsurmountable, forcing Nigeria Airways to cease operations, leaving a void and a valuable lesson for the future. This lack of transparency and accountability isn't unique to state-owned airlines. Several privately owned airlines have also suffered the same fate. Effective corporate governance, including robust financial management and adherence to safety regulations, is essential for any airline to succeed. The broader lesson here is the critical role of corporate governance in the aviation industry. Effective management, robust financial strategies, supportive economic policies, and modern infrastructure are crucial for the growth and success of airlines. Addressing these challenges requires a concerted effort from both the government and the private sector to foster a conducive environment for aviation to thrive. Corporate governance is a multifaceted discipline that encompasses a wide range of processes, customs, policies, laws, and institutions that influence how a corporation is directed, administered, and controlled. The primary goal of corporate governance is to enhance economic efficiency with a strong focus on maximizing shareholders' welfare. Effective corporate governance has been linked to improved organizational performance, a fact supported by numerous studies. For airlines, factors such as board compositions, management practices, and regulating compliance significantly impact performance and operational efficiency, and customer satisfaction are paramount. Robust corporate governance ensures that airlines operate transparently, ethically, and in alignment with both regulatory standards and stakeholder expectations. This is crucial for maintaining public trust, ensuring operational sustainability, and achieving long-term profitability. Across the Atlantic, one airline consistently ranks among the world's most profitable, Delta Airlines. What propels this country to such heights? The answer lies in its unwavering commitment to strong corporate governance. Delta's governance structure is robust, featuring a strong independent board of directors. This board comprises individuals with diverse backgrounds, skills, and experiences, ensuring a wide range of perspectives in decision-making processes. As of December 31, 2023, the board includes 10 independent directors and 2 non-independent members, one being the chief executive officer, and the other a nominee from the Airline Pilots Association. Diversity extends to gender, race, and ethnicity, with 1 out of 12 directors representing historically underrepresented groups. Key committees including audit, corporate governance, personnel and compensation, safety and security, and finance play critical roles in overseeing various aspects of operations and governance. By bridging the gap between Delta's global success and the realities of the Nigerian aviation industry, a thriving future can be achieved. For regulators, strengthening regulations in Nigeria's aviation industry involves implementing stricter enforceable measures to discourage irresponsible practices while protecting consumers, employees, and investors. This includes a thorough review of ownership structures by setting up minimum competency standards for owners, exploring diversified ownership models, and enforcing stringent disclosure requirements. Regular independent audits should be conducted, extending beyond mere compliance to identify areas for improvement in operational safety and sustainability practices, thereby fostering a more robust and reliable aviation sector. Bayo Olaoye, SOUQ News.
Welcome back to the World News. Morocco is set to increase its 2026 national budget for health and education to 140 billion dirhams, approximately $15 billion, marking a 16% rise from the previous year. According to a statement from the Royal Palace, the new funding equals about 10% of the country's gross domestic product and reflects the government's response to growing public demand for better social services. The move follows this weeks of youth-led protests across major cities calling for improved healthcare and education access. The draft budget, which will be formally presented to Parliament next week, also aims to reduce regional inequalities and strengthen social infrastructure. Morocco's economy is projected to grow by 4.8% this year, up from 3.8% in 2024, supported by strong domestic demand and steady performance in non-agricultural sectors. Officials say the increased investment is part of King Mohammed V's broader vision to improve living standard and promote inclusive growth across the kingdom. In addition, the council approved 2 draft electoral laws designed to boost political participation and curb corruption ahead of the next general election. The new measures will bar candidates with criminal records from contesting and provide simplified candidacy rules with up to 75% financial support for aspirants under 35 years old. The reforms aim to empower youth and women in leadership while fostering transparency and accountability in Morocco's democratic process. Senegal is seeking to swiftly conclude negotiations on a new financial support program with the International Monetary Fund (IMF) as discussions continue in Dakar this week. The move signals the government's urgency to strengthen its fiscal position amid rising economic pressures and financing need. Finance Minister Sheikh Deba, leading Senegal's delegation, met with IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva during the fund's annual meeting in Washington last week. Both parties expressed a strong commitment to accelerate progress towards a new program that would support economic stability and reform implementation. The proposed IMF agreement is expected to bolster investor confidence and help West African nations manage debt and inflation while advancing structural reforms. A rapid agreement could position Senegal to stabilize its economy and sustain growth as it navigates domestic challenges and global financial headwinds. Now, India's central bank is taking new steps to allow more free trade partners to settle international transactions directly in rupee, a move aimed at strengthening the local currency's global standing. According to officials familiar with the plan, the Reserve Bank of India is setting up direct rupee exchange rates that no longer depend on third currencies such as the United States dollar. The policy is part of India's broader effort to promote the rupee in global trade and reduce reliance on foreign exchange reserves. By easing currency settlements for trade partners, the move could expand India's regional influence, simplify cross-border transactions, and boost investor confidence in the rupee's long-term stability. China's leading wind turbine manufacturer are pushing for a major expansion in the country's renewable energy capacity, calling on government to install at least 120 gigawatts of new wind power each year for the next 5 years. The proposal, unveiled at the annual China Wind Power Conference in Beijing, would more than double China's total wind power output by 2030 and accelerate the country's clean energy transitions. Companies including Goldwind Science and Technology and Mingyang Smart Energy are among dozens of industry leaders backing the plan. They say the expansion would help China reduce its dependence on coal, enhance energy security, and maintain its global lead in wind turbine production and installation. The initiative reflects growing confidence in China's ability to scale renewable projects rapidly and efficiently. Still in China, China's coal and steel production fell again in September as demand weakened and the government's effort to curb overcapacity began to take effect. The decline marks the third consecutive monthly drop in coal output and the fifth straight fall in steel making, highlighting a broader slowdown in industrial activity. Authorities have intensified crackdown on unsafe and overproducing coal mines while urging steelmakers to cut back on excessive output under Beijing's ongoing anti-evolution campaign aimed at stabilizing markets and improving efficiency. The measures have limited supply even as construction and manufacturing demand continues to soften. Steel production fell to its lowest level since December 2023, reflecting reduced infrastructure spending and weaker property sector demand. Analysts say the continued slump underscores China's challenging balance between sustaining growth and enforcing stricter environmental and safety standards across its heavy industries. The move aligns with Beijing's long-term climate goal and its commitment to peak carbon emissions before 2030 by boosting wind energy investment. China aims to stabilize its power grid, create green jobs, and demonstrate leadership in the global push towards a low-carbon economy. Now, China imported no soybeans from the United States in September. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.